going on, man? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Ron, and today I'm going to go over my waiver wire ads and guys I put in waiver claims and FAAB bids for going into week 2. Now, week 1 just wrapped up. It's Sunday night, and I'm excited to get this content out for you guys, man. I'm going to be having this show every single week. We're going to go over waiver wire ads. I'm going to go over buy and sells, guys you can add and drop. This week we're just going to do waiver and ads because it's only week 2 now. I'm not looking to make drastic moves yet. I got to see a couple games sampled before I really decide who I want to buy and sell. Unless somebody really overwhelms me with a Godfather, voluptuous type offers. And I'm gonna be coming out with this show every single week. So make sure you go down below and subscribe so you stay up to date with what I'm coming out with on this channel. And before I get into my waiver wire ads for this week, let's not waste any more of your time or any more of my time. Let's go.
I know I'm critical. My nitty bag, my kitty boots. I got the juice, I got the juice.
Now, first up, this list is going to be guys that I would burn a waiver claim on if I'm in a pinch, or spend 10% of my FAAB budget on for these running backs. There are 2 running backs. If I'm a 0 RB player, if I got an injury like Marlon Mack, then I'm looking to get one of these guys off waivers. And the first guy I have is Nyheim Hines. He's rostered in 34.4% of leagues. Now, these players that are on this list, every single one of them are going to be under 50% owned on ESPN, so I can at least guarantee they're in over half of your guys' leagues. So with Nyheim Hines, Marlon Mack, he's rumored to tore his ACL. When a guy is rumored to have torn his ACL, 99% of the time he actually did tear his ACL. We can pretty much assume Marlon Mack tore his ACL, and with that news, it becomes a much more consolidated backfield. My heart goes out to Marlon Mack, but we have to understand what's going to be going on in the trenches, in the field, what's going on for fantasy. We have to separate the tragedy from what we're doing in fantasy, and Nyheim Hines benefits from this. Now, he had 2 red zone touches and 15 total with 73 yards and 2 touchdowns today. He was getting used. His touches in the red zone are massive. The catches are huge, 73 total yards, all huge for Nyheim Hines. He's a guy that you can start. He's going to have like a Austin Eckler type role in that offense because Phillip Rivers is throwing to the running backs a lot. He threw 37% of his throws to the running backs today in Indianapolis. Expected to hover around 30% again. So I think we're going to see Nyheim Hines get into a real role in there. And he had 20 snaps to Jonathan Taylor's 21 after the second half when Marlon Mack was no longer there. So I like him as a pickup. I think he's going to be a fine low-end RB2 for the next couple weeks, maybe even rest of season. Next up, we have James Robinson, who a lot of people were adding because you had that news where Leonard Fournette, my boy, the great Leonard, he didn't do too well today, but we'll get over that in another video. It's going to be a slow start for him. But James Robinson on the Jaguars, he was the only running back to receive carries today. So he had 16 carries and had 100% of the carries by any of the running backs. He only had 1 target, but he's going to be, or 1 target. He's going to be the workhorse for them. I know it's the Jaguars. I know it's kind of a shitty situation. Minshew looks really fucking good. Laviska Shenault looks good. That's an offense that's going to be average, but when you can get a running back that's getting double-digit carries, he's worth a bench stash. He's worth a waiver ad if you need him. So I think he's great. I think he's a high-priority waiver ad. Now, this bottom half of the list is going to be guys that I'm looking to add. I'm looking for waivers to roll through first, and then I'm looking to add them. I don't want to burn FAAB on them. I don't want to burn a waiver priority on them. These are guys that I'm just looking to add for upside if they're available. So first we have Parris Campbell. Parris Campbell's been a guy, the dynasty community, the analyst community, we've loved him since he came out. 2nd round pick out of Ohio State. He looked really good at the combine. He looked like a great receiver prospect, and he let us down last year. But he comes in strong out the gates this year. Everybody's raving about him in camp, and he comes out with 9 targets. He ties the team high with, I believe it was T.Y. Hilton. He had 6 for 71 yards. And they clearly wanted to get the ball to Parris Campbell. He even had a carry for 9 yards. And he has that upside where you can flex him if you need to, if he proves that he's a stable guy. And I'd say his highest of range of outcomes is DJ Chark last year. Remember, DJ Chark did nothing his freshman year, or his year 1 in the NFL. Kind of was asked. The same thing with Parris Campbell. And I could see Parris Campbell becoming a consistent, like, fringe wide receiver 2 down the stretch this year. It looks like Rivers likes him, and it looks like they're manufacturing touches for him. So I think he has great upside in an offense that doesn't have too many receiving options after T.Y. Hilton. Now, you're looking at the similar thing in Philadelphia with Dallas Goedert. So he ended the day with 8 for 101 and a touchdown on 9 targets and was the highest targeted receiver on the team. So the Eagles, I don't know what the fuck is going on with their health and conditioning shit, but everybody's getting hurt. The boy Deshaun Jackson, I thought he was gonna have a big week, but he was out for like most of the first half. You got Jalen Reagor, he only had one catch. Alshon Jeffrey, who knows if he's going to play football again? We have no idea. Dallas Goedert, I've been fading him because he's like, oh, Zach Ertz is probably better. But when you look at it objectively, I'm thinking Dallas Goedert is honestly the number 2 receiver on that team in terms of pure targets. After Zach Ertz, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas Goedert was second in target share. And it's an unreliable passing depth chart. They're going to be running out of a lot of 12 personnel, and I think Dallas Goedert benefits from that a lot. And he's a great upside tight end. He can even be your tight end 1 if you're in a pinch, or if you always have that one tight end, you have a backup tight end on your bench, like maybe you got Irv Smith, Jonnu Smith, something like that. Add Dallas Goedert, put him in there. I wouldn't burn a waiver priority on him unless if you need a tight end badly. Then I could see you doing it. After that, we have these are guys that aren't as high as priority, but if you have deeper benches, I don't mind the stash. And Anthony Miller is one of them. Anthony Miller is another one of those like year 3 candidates, just like I don't think he wasn't in the same draft class as Parris Campbell because he's a year 3 candidate, but he's somebody that could have one of those late breakouts. He had 76 yards on 4 catches and a touchdown. He was 3rd in targets on his team behind, I think it was Jimmy Graham and Allen Robinson. But he has upside. After Allen Robinson, it's literally nobody. Jimmy Graham's not going to be second on the team in targets for any longer than fucking week 1. Jimmy Graham, he's washed up. Anthony Miller does have that upside. Mitch Trubisky looked decent today, but we know the guy's not the future. But I like the upside of Anthony Miller. He's not a bad ad. I think that he'll win you some weeks in the flex. And someone else that I like as a late stash is Joshua Kelley. Love Joshua Kelley coming out, but obviously Austin Eckler is there. But Joshua Kelley looked like he filled into like this, I would call it like a Melvin Gordon light role. It wasn't quite what Melvin Gordon does, but 12 rushes for 60 yards. And he's a good guy to have on your bench that you can flex him in a pinch. And if Austin Eckler ever goes down at any point, Joshua Kelley, sick running back to have. He'd probably be like a top 18-ish pick if Eckler goes down. If he doesn't, he has you can start him on his own sometimes in like good matchups, but I like what I saw from Joshua Kelley. He looked clean. He got red zone touches. He could be the goal line back there, so I think he's a good odd just to wait and see what's going on. Now, if we're getting even deeper, we're going to go Russel Gage. He's only owned in 3.8% of leagues, and he's an interesting ad because he just had 12 targets. Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Russel Gage all had 12 targets, so I don't think that's going to happen again. I don't think that we'll see him get double-digit targets consistently, but this is a team that's going to pass a lot. He was one of 3 Falcons receivers to top 100 yards. He had 114, and he's an interesting flex option in PPR leagues with deep benches. The last guy I got on here is Peyton Barber. He's rostered in 1.3% of ESPN leagues. He's an ugly waiver wire ad, but he just got 17 carries and 2 touchdowns. You really can't argue with that, but Peyton Barber, he's an ugly name. I don't see the upside, but I do see the week-to-week, like, low-end RB3, RB2-ish type of guy. And if you're a 0 RB kind of guy, if you got an injury at running back, you have a deep bench, like IR spots, Peyton Barber, he's an interesting ad. And we could see him just continue to get 15 carries if Antonio Gibson doesn't develop. But I see Antonio Gibson eating into that eventually. But for now, the early season, I think Peyton Barber, he's startable. You can just grab him and get a free start out of him most likely. So he's not a bad ad.